Alright, I figured I'd make a video a little bit easier to discuss what I've done versus putting pictures on Facebook. You remember the timing belt covers that I showed the other day of how I polished them up? Those were quite corroded. I ended up having to take sandpaper to them and then going through a series of polishing paste and wheels, shine those up. The valve covers were the same, and now you can see my reflection in it. They're not perfect, but they're good enough for me. All this gets covered up with chrome pieces. Now the chrome pieces that were on the bike were quite rusted, but I'll eventually get those covered up. You know, you can find all this stuff off of eBay. They make a piece. This one didn't have pieces that covered up the intakes, but they do sell those. All this came off. I painted all this. This is the pieces that hold the fairings. And it was looking pretty bad. This right here, as you sit on the bike, that's what you see, those black pieces that stick out. So I decided I'd go ahead and wire wheel those and take the paint off and repaint them. These things right here, they were Phillips head screws, and I hate a Phillips head screw in any type of thing that's going to sit outside like that. Those are Allen head screws or hex head screws. Those, you'll always be able to get those out of there unless you break the bolt off, in which case, it's a lot better than stripping a Phillips head screw out. All of that came out of there. The gas tank. That gas tank is like a tree through a fence. It is like it grew in there. When they made that, I mean, there's even little indentations in the side for hoses to go past it. It's incredible how hard it is to get that in and out. I repainted all that. I put vinegar in the tank and cleaned all that out. All the hoses that run through, the fuel hoses, they were all just as hard as a rock and all brittle and stuff. Replaced all that because I know that's going to leak. Rebuilt the carburetors. Put a new fuel filter in. So all those lines are new. All the radiator hoses are new. I left the thermostat in there because it acted like it was gonna work just fine, and there was no issues with it overheating before. However, I did put new O-rings because that's the beautiful thing about this motorcycle is that it doesn't have gaskets in certain places. Everything is O-rings. Like a lot of things you would imagine there'd be a cork gasket in here. Nope, it's a rubber gasket. Now these rubber gaskets do get stiff and hard over time, which makes it to where they're not as, it doesn't block oil like it should. But I ordered new O-rings for that, O-rings for these. Let's see, I ended up cleaning up some of this stuff, like the shroud for the radiator here, and there's another one down here, and that's where the fairing bolts on. I didn't paint this because I didn't want to put any paint on a radiator. I didn't want to make it to where it had any restriction on airflow. There is a piece that goes over this that's like a, there it is over there. It absolutely looks horrible. I'm going to see if I can get a chrome piece that goes over it, but again, anything you put on there you're going to have to find used, so you have to kind of be selective as to where you buy it from, and anytime you buy anything off of eBay, you never know. The fork seals, they're completely destroyed. So those will have to get replaced. I'm gonna wait until my objective is, the whole reason why I took all this stuff out of here is to get those carburetors out. And it was really hard I couldn't get those carburetors out. The only way I could get them out was to bring them back and then slide them out. The only way I could bring them back is to take the gas tank out. The only way I could take the gas tank out is to take all this off. It was just an absolute ordeal. There's a lot of little things here and there. All the throttle cables have been replaced. The choke cable has been replaced. That was froze up. Now it works fine. The master cylinder up here, I the original design was it had like a plastic or fiberglass reservoir that sat on top. I opted to get the one-piece design. That'll all go together. All the brake lines have to be replaced. I have bought new brake lines here. I got the master cylinder, or the caliper just hanging off of that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put brake fluid in this and pump that out. That'll help me blow those pistons out of that. That way I can rebuild those. Probably doesn't need to be rebuilt, but I'm going to go ahead and do it anyway since I do have the kits for it. This master cylinder, the original one, was completely trashed. I bought this one off of eBay for like 30 bucks and rebuilt it, and so now I can get that underway. I cleaned up the exhaust pipes. The exhaust pipes were very rusty. You can see in some places that there's still rust there. That's not going to come off. It's just, that's the way it is. Like I said, all this stuff gets covered. I did, believe it or not, I did take steel wool to that, so that is clean-ish. So in the future, what's going to end up happening is I want to try and get the engine running, which won't take much. I'll probably within the next couple of weeks have it running, and I will make a video of that. That will be a new battery and put oil and coolant in it. I have to get a new air filter because the air filter in it was not good. You know, if they sit around for a while, they like to deteriorate. Let's see, after that, start it up. I have a feeling that this dipstick, now I don't know if this dipstick was an aftermarket thing, was it an original Aspencade piece? I don't know, but I do not like it because what happens is, you see, it tees off back here. I'm trying to keep my finger out of the way. It tees off back here, and this bolt goes through that tee, and there's these plastic pieces that they probably don't make anymore that go through there. And as you can tell down there on the ground, and here on the side, there's a bunch of oil, and all over the front of the engine there was oil. Back in there you can't see it, but up in there, well, I cleaned a bunch of that stuff when I took it off, but there's oil on it everywhere, and I believe that it's leaking from that point. There was orange Permatex around it, like they were trying to stop it. So what I'm going to do is I got another idea of how to make another dipstick tube that will work a lot better than that. That is a horrible design. I took steel wool to the exhaust pipes and got those cleaned up, plus some chrome polish, which basically it's wax, and I really don't know how well that worked, but the steel wool is what really did the footwork on that. All that side gets covered up, all this painted side. So next thing for me to do is to get it fired up, get the carburetors adjusted, the mixture. There's a sequence of how you do that. You get the idle set a certain way, and then you set one carburetor, and then you set the idle back, and you go adjust the other carburetor, and then you set the idle back, and then finally get all that. Then you got to synchronize the carburetors, which makes sure all the throttles are set to the same. And so I have to buy a synchronizer set for that. Get it running, get the back tire put on, get everything buttoned up back here. Then take the whole front end off and clean up that, you know, rebuild the front end. The one thing I'm worried about is you can see that there's rust. And maybe you can see if I can focus this thing. There's rust on the upper here. And what happens is once it runs past the seals in this, that rust will have a tendency to chew up the seals. And I don't know if it goes down that far, but it could make a mess. I bought some little shocks for my Harley, and I don't know if I'll put these on there or not. I don't know if that'll look like crap on this, but I may or may not put those on there. All this, I did like a test area of just took and wiped it down with a piece of steel wool, and then I just took some Mother's polish, this stuff right here, It's aluminum polish, and just on a microfiber, just wiped it, and then you could see already it's just coming up to polish just like that. And I'm gonna polish it with a power wheel, so that'll be really shining. These pieces right here that are all rusted, I found one of these on eBay for like $50. So that's not a big deal. I'll get all that buttoned up, take all that off, and then I can slowly start messing with little things like cosmetic stuff. Almost every piece of chrome on this thing is rusted, and it's to be expected, you know. The wiring on this bike, whoo, man, the wiring. I mean, what's funny is you have a butt splice here, and then you come right down, and then there's where the plug is. I mean, you could have easily just unplugged it, but it is what it is. Got wires that go nowhere. There was a wire that came all the way back here, ran all the way up and over, and then tied to the crash bar up front. Things like this I see all over the bike. You know, the plug's here and then butt splices right by it. These butt splices are absolutely, man, they are unreliable. They will leave you stranded somewhere real fast. So what I'll end up doing is I'll cut all that and resolder it and do it right. Seal it up with some heat shrink. That's about it. Eventually the clear coat's going to have to be reshot on this bike, because as you can see over there, it got kind of scratched up when I was taking these pieces off. However, I already knew that areas like this lid for the saddlebags were already worn through. The windshield over here is trash. I mean, you can't even see through it, and that's clean. I cleaned that, so that'll be replaced. That's like $75, $100. The mirrors over here, one of them looks okay, the other one is just garbage, but you can get those fairly cheap, like $25 a piece or something like that off of eBay. But it's coming back together. Get it running, get the back tire on it, button that up. Oh, the seat. I took the seat apart because they sell these kits that you can put the upholstery on yourself, and I think it's like $200, and it's that you just cover the seat yourself, and the back piece that goes on here plus the two pockets. So for $200, I think that'll work out really good. Outside of that, it'll come back together, and it'll always be in the garage now. It won't stay outside. Try and stay on top of it. If you keep it clean the best you can and try and keep it out of the weather, and I don't ride in the rain. I just don't do that. I got that bike over there. Of course, you know, with the fender set up, you could probably understand why I don't ride in the rain, but that's not the reason why. I don't like riding it. I only like riding if it's going to be fun, and riding in the rain's not fun. That's why I have that. That's why I have this. But anyway, there's your update. Oh, the clutch cable, that's going to have to be replaced too, because it is really, really hard to pull. I asked Dad about it when he had it running, and he said no, it wasn't that hard. So, you know, it's got to be easier than this. It's got brand new throttle cables on it, and that is one hard joker to turn. I made sure it wasn't bound up anywhere, but man, I guess it's because there's 4 carburetors, and you're pulling against all 4 of them, plus a major spring in there. I mean, it's nothing like compared to this thing. It's one carburetor. You could turn this just with the tips of my fingers. I can turn that. So I don't know. Maybe it's just getting used to it. All right. Later.